Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I want to talk about something that everyone wants to know about. So you're going to want to look at your chart to figure out where your Ketu is in your chart. Ketu is the south node of the moon. Now, Rahu and Ketu are always exactly opposite in a chart, and Rahu is the north node of the moon, and Ketu is the south node of the moon, always exactly opposite, the signs and the degrees. And it's so important to know this because they really do depict your karmic destiny. But most of all, what I'm going to talk about today is where you left something off undone in a past life, and therefore you come into this life with the sense that wherever your Ketu is, something's always missing in that area of your chart. I'm going to get very specific. But before I do, I want everyone to know, go to my website, galacticcenter.org, and sign up for my free newsletter. You will get all of my predictions delivered to your email address once a week. So galacticcenter.org, and remember, if you are wanting to learn Vedic astrology, now is the time to jump in because I'm starting semester 1 July 6th. So jump in and join us. You won't regret it. This is an amazing learning experience. It is self-paced and it never expires. Okay, so University of Vedic Astrology.com. Now, let's talk about Ketu. Now, you're going to want to know where your Ketu is. So if you don't have a clue, remember I do Vedic astrology. You can go to my website, galacticcenter.org, and put all your information into my free chart calculator. But remember to scroll all the way to the bottom. Don't try to read those charts if you're a novice. There's things that you don't know that is very confusing, such as, well, I won't even go into it. Just go to the bottom of this chart calculator, scroll down. It will tell you exactly what signs your planets are in, and it should tell you the house. So what sign and what house? That's what you're going to want to know. So let me go forward with talking about Ketu. Now, Rahu and Ketu, they say that Rahu is your destiny and your future, what you're here to experience in this lifetime, while Ketu deals more with the past, what you've left undone. And I think that's what really resonates to everyone. When I do a reading and I tell them about where Ketu is, they're just like, the aha experience goes off every time. So let me dig in here and give you an idea of what this means for you. Now, if your Ketu is in your first house, then remember in astrology, the first house is you. So you denied yourself of what you were to experience in your past life. And in this life, you've come here to really develop who you are. But it always feels like something's missing in your life. And I got to say this, whenever Ketu is in the first house, you always feel like you don't fit in this world. You always feel disconnected. And the closer it is to the ascendant degree, the more disconnected you feel. You feel like an outcast. You feel like you don't fit in. You feel like an alien wherever you are with Ketu in the first house, particularly on the ascendant. But you don't really necessarily even understand who you are, your gifts, your goals, and what you're all about, what you're here to experience, and you're here to discover self-knowledge. And of course, when you have Rahu and Ketu, of course, that are flanked across the first and the seventh house, it's always going to be that you're here to discover more about yourself through relationships. Relationships, Rahu's in the seventh. So relationships really give you a sense of who you really are. Remember, whoever we think we are, relationships will mirror that. So many times people don't understand that when women are in abusive relationships, it's because of their sense of who they think they are. They don't feel good about themselves, and they attract someone that will reflect that sense of self-worth back to them. With Ketu being in the first house, there is a lack of sense of self that one has to develop. That's what you're here to do in this lifetime. So always remember, when I go through all of these, this karma as a soul is what you've come here to heal in this lifetime. It's not that you're destined to be lost in this arena your whole life, but this is what you left off in a past life, and this is what you're here to heal in this life. So if you have Ketu in the second house, it means when you were growing up, it was very difficult. And you do have a loss of sense of self-worth, because when you were small, you didn't get a lot of confirmation about who you are, or a sense of self-confidence. Why? Because the second house deals with early childhood experiences. And yes, there was a sense of you didn't fit in, you couldn't get a hold of who you were growing up as a kid. So your childhood experiences, there was great losses. There was something that you felt like was missing as a child. Maybe the relationship and the love you needed from your family, because the second house does deal with family. And on the other end, remember, the second house is our voice, what we say. It actually rules the mouth. So it deals with what goes in the mouth, what comes out of the mouth, such as speech, such as what you eat and consume. And Ketu being there is, you might have problems with dietary problems, like the foods you eat. Something's missing, something's wrong, something's not working. And another thing is, you feel like you never got to say what you wanted to say. Or people didn't validate you when you spoke. Or maybe they hushed you or made you be quiet. You weren't validated for what you had to say. And that's important, that people feel like what they have to say is important. Otherwise, they lose their sense of self-esteem. Another thing, because the second house does deal with money, but I think money is all related to your sense of worth and self-esteem that you got as a child. So if you never have overcome this, your ability to earn money will be impeded. Yes, maybe because Rahu's in the 8th house, it could come through other people, but maybe your ability to achieve wealth and money, your self-earned money, just doesn't happen. But maybe you could have a lot of money through inheritances, through other people. But somehow making money does make one feel powerful, a sense of self-worth. And that's what you have to work on. And watch what you eat and drink as well, because a lot of things will not agree with you. And since the mouth rules the teeth, you've got to watch your teeth. Your teeth could have problems. Okay, so let's move on to the third house. If you have Ketu in your third house, this is the house of brothers and sisters. Either you don't have any siblings, or the siblings you do have, you feel like something's always missing in your relationship. And if you don't feel like this, I guarantee you at some point in your life you will. Something missing in the relationship with siblings, especially the younger ones. But the third house does deal with all siblings. But the other aspect of the third house is our communications. And with Ketu being here, you never feel like you can get your message right across to people. It's always kind of lost. And you're searching for the right way to say something or convey what you want people to know. And maybe even early childhood schooling. Not that early, but let's just say grammar school. Yeah, that it was difficult. But you'll do much better in college because Rahu is there in the 9th, but Ketu, something's missing. And probably your education is disturbed a lot through something like moving or problems with the family, because Ketu's in the 3rd house of lower education. And traveling, you'll always feel like a gypsy with Ketu in the third house, probably always commuting, and it's not even what you want, because there's something always missing on getting places as well. Now, because the third house deals so much with communications, it also deals with our willpower. With Ketu being there, your will is kind of lost. Maybe because you can't get your message across, but weakened willpower with the third house. And your thing is probably not so great with social media or how you connect to people or writing, or maybe it's over the top. Sometimes we make things that are loss or deficit. We work on it so strong that we make it our advantage as we work on it. Now, if you have Ketu in the fourth house deals with the mother. You will always feel like something's been missing with your relationship with your mother. Something just isn't right. You never got the love or the attention. Maybe she had other things to attend to, a sick child or sibling, but something took the attention away from you. And or maybe you even felt like you had to take care of your mother. Your mother had problems and she was the one that you wanted to take care of. But there's always this disconnect in the relationship, I feel like, with Ketu being there. At least at some point in life, you'll feel like this. It will happen. And Ketu is this drain of energy. So when Ketu's in the fourth house, many times people are always moving. They can't feel settled in one place. It's just always constant. Once you find a place to live, it just doesn't feel right again. So you're searching for another place. So there's that constant feeling of not feeling settled, or don't forget the fourth house is security. You don't ever feel secure, and that probably was initiated by something that happened in your childhood experiences dealing with your mother. So you're always searching for security, and it seems like it's something that always slips through your fingers. Now, let's say you have Ketu in the fifth house. Well, the fifth house, first of all, deals with children, so you're going to feel like many people that have Ketu in the fifth house, they feel like they cannot do enough for their children. So they are the ones that are usually the helicopter parents that are always watching everything they do because they can't feel that they've done enough, or something's always missing, and they're constantly pouring in more time and energy into this. Now, the fifth house is also intelligence and the mind. So Ketu being there, you think outside the box. You think outside the realm of this world. Many times you're disconnected in your thoughts and feelings about how to process information with the thinking mind. Fifth house is intelligence, but it's also gifts, and you will probably have a very unique, unusual gift that no one else has with Ketu in the fifth house. And it could even prevent you from having children, not always, but it could be that you have problems having children, or that there's a child that you feel like you just do not connect with. No matter what you try to do, something's always missing in that relationship with this child. Okay, that's what Ketu in the fifth house means. Now, if you have Ketu in the sixth house, there's something always missing about your diet, your nutrition, the way you process foods, your digestion. It's not, you can never get it right. It's always something's not complete with the food, the diet, or even your routines, daily routines with exercise. It's never enough for you. And because the sixth house does rule work in terms of the people you work with day in to day out, or employees, so co-workers, employees, you never can connect with them as well. There's something always missing there. And it's also the house of pets. So you might be overkill with always trying to get more and more pets. You don't have enough of them, or that you have a lack of wanting pets. It's something always really extreme with where Ketu is. So let's talk about if you have Ketu in your seventh house. You're going to have a partner that needs a lot of attention. Ketu can be a drain, or they can be very needy, very draining, or they could even be very spiritual. But for the most part, it's usually that there's a disconnect with your partner. There's not enough. There's not enough love. There's not enough attention. Something's always missing in the relationship with your partner. But at times, and then sometimes your partner may be a little bit of a victim, that you're always trying to fix it. And this can denote some problems in relationships. I have to tell you, this isn't an easy position for marriage. But every now and then, I found that there's somebody that just marries the perfect person from the past life, because remember, Ketu's the past, so you're here to fulfill a destiny of past life experiences with a partner, and you will. But you've come here to work it out. And before this lifetime's over, you've got to clear that relationship that you left something undone in a last life. Because when you do heal it, then you won't have to come back and repeat it again in the next life. Okay, so let's talk about if you have Ketu in the 8th house. Wow, that is deep stuff. You're constantly thinking about life after death. Where do we go? What's the meaning of life? This is profoundly deep. Very intuitive and psychic as well. But there may be some money that's denied you, either through your spouse, or maybe your spouse takes your money, or you didn't get the inheritance that you thought you would. There's something that's denied through money with other people. But at the same time, you are so deep, intuitive, and you will always be looking into metaphysical sciences and the arts. And you have a great gift with your intuition. Use it wisely. That is a gift. So if you have Ketu in your 9th house, the 9th house in Vedic astrology is the father. You will find that there's something always missing with your relationship with your father. And probably maybe you never knew him, or maybe he's gone all the time. Maybe he works all the time. There's something about him that your love and attention from him, you feel like something's missing. Or maybe you do have a very spiritual father, but for the most part, it's usually that there's something that's devoid or incomplete. Now, Ketu in the 9th house can also mean you're never going to follow the traditional norm in religion, but you're always looking for the spiritual, the deeply spiritual way of life, not traditional fundamental religious beliefs, because you believe differently. What's beyond this world? What's beyond religion? So it's extraordinarily spiritual. And you will have a quest in so many ways to travel the world and see different cultures and places, and it's never enough. With Ketu in your 10th house, you never feel satisfied with your work or your career. And probably you'll change your work quite often. But probably with Ketu in the 10th house, you're supposed to have a very unusual work or career, something like a psychic, a medium, astrologer, something that is unconventional. But otherwise, you change and flip from job to job because it's never fulfilling, because your work has to be something that is totally unique and unusual, not of the norm, and you can't be tied down to an office. That will never work for you. You need freedom. You know, they say Ketu's like a gypsy. You flit around, you find different things, and you become bored with the regular 9-to-5 or jobs. So you're always looking for a sense of fulfillment, because in a past life, you left that off. You were never fulfilled with your work. This is the lifetime that you do have to find it. Okay, let's say you have Ketu in the 11th house. This would mean that your sense of friendship, groups, people you hang out with, you never feel like you fit in, nor do you feel like it's enough that you get from the friends that you do have. And or you may attract some very odd outcast people as friends. You don't like the traditional conservative types. You like the ones that are going to be out there with thought, with everything. Sexuality, thought, whatever. You like those people that are different. And one thing you do have to watch, though, with this position, that you don't attract people that drain all your energy, friends that drain and take advantage of you, because Ketu is like that. It's a big drain, and it's in the house of friendships. Plus, if you have an older sibling, you'll probably feel like your relationship with them is never whole or complete as well. So if you have Ketu in the 12th house, this has been said to be one of the best placements for Ketu, because the 12th house is very much like Ketu, otherworldly, beyond this world. When people have Ketu in the 12th house, there's one thing: they usually have very prophetic dreams. They will dream of the future, they will know things, and they have to gauge that correctly, because dream work should be very important to them. Now, another thing with Ketu in the 12th house, people will randomly come back from your past. And the one lesson that you have to learn is to be able to let them go, and let go of all the past hurts and problems you've had with people in the past. Sometimes you hang on to those past hurts and emotions, and that can disturb your future goings on in this lifetime. So let go of the past. Don't be hung up with emotional issues from people of the past. This is probably the best lesson that somebody with Ketu in the 12th house will give. Learn to forgive, let it go. You can't do anything about it. But this does really connect you to the other side. This is one of the more spiritual placements, Ketu in the 12th house. So with that, I'd like to close. I hope you've learned more about yourself and what you feel like needs to be corrected in your life, which is something you left undone in your past life, and you've come here to heal in this life by seeing where Ketu sits, what house it's in your birth chart. So with that, I'll close. And remember, if you want to study with me, go to my university website, which is University of Vedic Astrology.com. Thank you.